Wednesday's Q&A session. It's aimed at helping active subscribers get the most out of the market, showing you how we use this technology to capture alpha. And as far as people who are kind of window shopping or looking around to see what's going on here, we will showcase why this technology is important, and hopefully Brad and I will be able to communicate that. Our goal is really not to do a lot of sales stuff here, so we're really just focused on showing you what we do, why it is that you need this, and how it can really improve your finances. So let's start very quickly with the standard disclaimer that Trade Ideas is not a registered investment advisor. So all the information that you see in Trade Ideas for regulatory reasons is considered for informational and educational purposes only. Okay? All right, so I'm going to minimize my browser, and we're going to bring you up to a screen, and I'm going to actually remove some of the windows that I use, and I'm going to kind of shrink it up a little bit. So Trade Ideas, and again, everybody who is already with us, you guys know, we're listening to every piece of market data available from exchanges, and we also watch social media, unstructured data. We combine all of this together to create algorithms that search for events that generate alpha. And by events that generate alpha, what we mean is that have some sort of quantifiable predictability. So let's talk a little bit about that. There's probably close to 20,000 stocks that are traded in the markets. Each one of them exists and trades sometimes. By the way, not all stocks trade every day. A lot of people don't know that. So what Trade Ideas does is we database every single stock, and we're watching it in real time, and we're trying to figure out what is the best way that we can shape this data to help ourselves and our customers find moments of predictability or sustainable movement where we can, make money. This is what we're here to do. I don't want to fool around or beat around the bush. We are here to make money, and our job is to help you make money in the stock market. So one of the ways that that I personally, and again, when I start these webinars, I try to kind of give people a little bit of an example of how I utilize the technology. And this very early part is really aimed at some of the people who aren't familiar with this. But so first of all, Trade Ideas, we have everything now, really. We have charts, we have analytics, and we have it done in a channel format, much like Netflix or Amazon Video or Vudu or Hulu or any other thing that you see, being used online, where depending on what you're interested in, you can click on a channel, and the software automatically populates that channel with relevant information. So I start my day with pre-market, and this is where I'm seeing what's going on with stocks that are gapping up or gapping down. By the way, so ZFGN, here's a great example, by the way, of why buy and hold is so darn dangerous. Okay, so buy and hold basically, and I don't want to say this in the wrong way, but buy and hold is basically a religion, and I mean that sincerely to folks who are very religious. I don't mean that necessarily in a derogatory way, but the problem with that concept of buy and hold in the stock market is that means that you think that you are right fundamentally, and that's it. But the problem with that theory is that, well, once you say that, then you're kind of just confined. You've painted yourself in a corner. So here's something that we want to talk about that's an example. So ZFGN, okay, so the reason I'm bringing this up is that this stock actually was an AI pick for a trade of the week candidate a little while ago. And it was right around like at these levels. I think it was just under 14 when this stock really started to go. And ZFGN is a company that does obesity drugs, amongst other things that it's doing. And it was, and after that trade, I mean, this pattern was a really nice looking pattern. And the stock started to move and really continued higher and gave everybody who who did follow this trade from when we called it out, a lot of opportunities to make a lot of money. And then last night, it closed at 1594, and today, boom, opens up like 90, well, 80% lower. How did this happen? Well, some news came out that a person had died on one of their drugs. You know, that doesn't sound very good. But the point is, so what do you do now? You know, what do you do in this situation? Do you just sit there and write it out and say it'll be back? And this is the whole issue. The whole issue with the notion of buy and hold is that it's confining. It confines your capital, and there's a reason that I think it served its purpose for a long time, and that was because of how information was disseminated. But information processing has completely changed. In other words, things that affect the stock market are coming into the market so quick. Twitter, LinkedIn, Reuters, Bloomberg, every piece of news is coming through faster than ever before, and in fact, the stock market has evolved in such a way that traditional models just completely don't apply anymore. So what we focus on in Trade Ideas is a quantitative model of path of least resistance. It's really that simple. What we're doing is we're crunching an immense amount of data, and we're trying to figure out where is the path of least resistance, because that's where we want to go, and that's where we want to save our customers. Send our customers, and that's where your likeliest path to success. Because if you're fighting a trend, so here in ZFGN, if you are still holding it, and again, I'm using this as an example of saying that no matter how good your research can be, some of this stuff, if you hold things for long term, is unavoidable. And when you're playing biotech stocks that are possibly very risky, these things happen. So
and then at this point, Dan, you're just going to average in, you're going to tie up more of your capital, it's going to be sitting there, and you're more married to that trade.
Oh, absolutely. And we've seen this so many times. I mean, I've been investing actively since 1995, and Brad has been doing it even longer than that, and I'm sure Barry as well. And we've seen this countless times. In fact, I want to say that many people who are here right now have probably been in our trading room and are in there every day or a lot of days. And for those of you who are new to Trade Ideas or new to this webinar, aren't customers, you guys know that we have a trading room, a community where everyone exchanges ideas, it's free, and we share a lot of information, and you really get to work with the best. And again,
you really do, and Dan, it's like a live webinar for 6 hours every day, and Barry does a fantastic job not only of trading the market, but showing people how to utilize this technology to assist them in doing so. It's really a great service, so everybody should check it out. So scroll down on your channel bar there and show everybody how they can really get to it pretty quickly right from the channel bar.
Absolutely, Brad. Thank you. That's a great point. So Barry, who I believe is Barry in the room? Yeah, he's in there somewhere. So Barry Einerson, who's our lead moderator, is a member of Trade Ideas team, is one of the few people who can actually trade and do stuff at the same time. It's something that's not easy to do. And Barry does it. And at the bottom of our channel bar, right here, you can click on it during market hours, and it'll prompt you to go right in. So it's all available. It's right here. The whole idea is that with Trade Ideas, we try to encapsulate it, give it a complete path so that you can start the software, learn how it's used, but then see how other people who already know how to use it are using it. So as I was saying, my routine. Start in the morning. I go from pre-market to social media. Now, the reason I jump right to social media, because this is where, I'm starting to see the real interesting stuff that's also being talked about on social media, which just has a tendency of providing added momentum. Okay? So here, the key for us at Trade Ideas is to provide our customers value on the first impression. So you can see, there's no mystery. Again, most discussed and trending up. It's that simple. So these are being talked a lot on social media right now. You can see that by the percentages, and you can scroll this. So if you want to see like what's talked about the most today, and here it is. It's ASTI, okay, and obviously it gapped up and was up 24%. And I actually don't trade the micro caps at all. I had a nice little experience. I think it was 2 years ago, Brad, with DROP, that Tiger Woods stuff.
Yes, I remember.
Yes, and much like Tiger's golf career thereafter, I stopped trading those micro caps. But the idea is that you can see what's in play. Well, notice how there's very few technologies that are going to show you ASTI followed by Yahoo, then followed by free, and then followed by qual. That in and of itself is actually the beauty of what Trade Ideas does. Being able to curate lists and work with the lists in an easy way without having to write code and open things up and new and all this stuff. I mean, the whole thing that we've really been focusing on over the last few years is value on the first impression. And by the way, Maureen, great question, and we will talk all about that when we do the second part of our webinar today, which is the question and answer section. So we'll definitely get to all of that. So, and again, Peter, everybody, we will, in fact, it's better for us if you wait to ask your questions until a little bit later, because then we'll just fully engage with you all completely for the questions and answers. So, again, here we're just showing you that you can peruse anything you want. Surge is a channel that focuses on stocks where all of a sudden, just like the word surge, there's a surge of volume, a surge of influx. Or rather, those are synonyms. Not a surge of influx, a surge or an influx. Okay, you get to see incredible opportunities. Like, again, we are in the markets, guys. I mean, people talk about not picking bottoms, and there's all these things that you hear about from quote-unquote professionals who actually can't beat the S&P. Forget about all that. We are specifically trying to find these types of moves. Okay, this Solar City move was a great move. And by the way, Brad, I was in this stock like right here, and then got out of it on this candle and totally forgot. And now
it's time to fill the gap.
Yeah, and then it started to fill the gap. And that's what happens. I mean, that's what we want to show investors, that there are so many opportunities, but you have to be open to them. And to be open to these opportunities, you kind of have to give up your notion of the buy and holds and almost all of these things that you are taught about the stock market. The stock market's not mythical, it's not magical. It's there to be exploited, and people exploit it all the time. Exploitation does not have to have a negative connotation to it. In the early 90s, there was a group of investors called SOS bandits who were exploiting the market, and I was actually one of them, and so was Brad, and there could be one or two of them in this webinar right now, but we were utilizing a system of data inputs that gave us an advantage. And today, that's what Trade Ideas does. It gives you an advantage to see things that you would have never seen before. And here's one of the other things that's very important for you in terms of the stock market and how you perceive all of it. You've got to not have to know why something's happening. Let me give you an explanation. All of us right now use mobile phones. And Brad, do you use your GPS?
All the time.
But even though I know you know where you're going, but you probably still use your GPS. Brad's got a pretty good sense of direction, folks.
I do.
I don't. But when I'm using my GPS, I can assure you one thing. There's never a thought in my mind, and I think I've brought this up at another webinar, Brad, but there's never a thought in my mind when I'm using my GPS about the signals that are beaming from my phone to the satellite and back. Like, how is it doing it? Why am I... Right, it works. You don't... With the stock market, people always want to know why. And the truth of the matter is there isn't an exact reason. You don't need to worry about there's more buyers or sellers or PE ratio or PEG ratio or RSI or MACD. You don't need to worry about all of that because that's granular. And that's what the Trade Ideas technology is doing for you. We have processed all that data 100 times over on Sunday. And all of this that you see here already has all of that built in. We're moving more towards reacting, being able to free ourselves to quickly react to something and then move on. And by the way, people do ask us all the time, well, is this just for day trading? That word also has gotten a terrible name. No, it is not for day trading. In fact, I'm not a day trader. You can ask Barry. I mean, I trade relatively actively, but the whole notion of day trading is kind of silly. The way you do it, I mean, you trade, and your P&L is the gauntlet of whether you should or should not be in a trade longer than you need to be. If you buy a stock, like I'll give everybody an example. I'm in this stock, CLVS, Clovis Oncology. I bought it today, I think, right around 33. Yeah, I bought 1,000 shares. It went as high as 35 and settled in at 34, and I'm still up like around $1,000. So I'm up $1,000, and I kept it because I am up $1,000, and so far the market is telling me that, hey, that's the path of least resistance. I'm doing something right. Tomorrow I may exit if it does not look, the same way, or if it continues going higher, I may keep it, or I may sell a little bit to cover kind of like my risk. That's all the kind of stuff that you do post-trade. But the point of the matter is day trading or swing trading shouldn't be religion either. It should all be P&L trading. You are here for profit and loss. Manage your losers, maintain your winners, and that is how you win. And that is what we are here to show you how to do. So we've talked about all of this information. Again, whether you're interested in sectors, I mean, there's so many things that we can spend 5 webinars just going over Trade Ideas functionality. I mean, it's one of these things that is so powerful that it's very similar in some senses to Microsoft Excel. You can do many things, but most people just, do 1 + 1. Oh, okay, it's 2.
Yeah, I don't even think, Dan, at this point you've even pointed out that it's all configurable. We've set this up for you guys just to get started without having to configure it and know what to do, but every one of these windows is like a piece of clay that you can mold and shape to give you the information you're looking for.
Absolutely, and that's the thing. I was actually, I want to share with you guys again. We're not trying to sell here. We're really talking about what we believe are the value propositions. And Brad, I was actually talking to David, one of our business managers on the East Coast, and he and I were talking about how for 10 years, when we had, Trade Ideas, again, for those of you that don't know, we've been in business since 2003, and for the majority of the 10 years that we've been in, over 10 years, but for about 10 years, the way that you had to kind of work with the software is you'd get it. I mean, we would still train you, but then it was up to you to configure it for what you wanted to do. But ultimately, it took us 10 years to figure out that most people really don't know. And that's okay, is what we realized. It's okay for you not to know because we as professionals should know. And that's how this whole environment took place. So all these things you see here were created so that you didn't have to figure out how to create a layout and proper workspace, environment. It's all designed for you. It's concierge. It's valet. It's like pulling up to a resort and staying there, and you don't have to leave to go to dinner because the restaurant is on the premises. The gym is on the premises. The spa is on the premises. Okay? But here it's your quantitative behavioral analysis unit is on the premises. So let's talk about this now, okay? I mean, probably, Brad, the most important thing that we've done in the last year and a half, and just recently launched, is the Trade Ideas Artificial Intelligence Engine. Her name is Holly Grail, and we named her that as a kind of a joke on how people view signals. Holly Grail, or the Trade Ideas AI, is meant to poke fun at people who think that artificial intelligence is a green light buy, red light sell. There's no such thing.
Hey, go to account, Dan, and hit reset connection.
And I have Brad, who helps me with everything I'm doing. And there we go. Okay, these are all our trades. Thank you. I don't know what by the way, Brad, we had that new version that just came out that we upgraded. Maybe we can throw in a link for people in the chat room if they want to get the latest, and the greatest.
I will do that.
So I want to talk a little bit about this because we believe that, again, this is the thing that's going to change the world of investing. Our AI engine lives and breathes to find momentum and to give you an advantage. And we do this in a way that's very similar to how card counters play in Vegas and why they are banned. You know, if you count cards in a casino, you're not allowed to play. Why? Because you have an advantage, and the casino doesn't like that. Because if they're giving you, you know, your free vodka that cost them 5 cents and they charge you $10 for, you know, they really don't want to lose any money on the gambling. So with Trade Ideas, what we're doing is we are counting cards. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you something real quick. It's called the quantitative combine. And let's see here. Hold on one second. Okay. All right, so let me expand this a little more. There we go. So last night, by the way, yesterday we had our best trading day with the AI, I think, thus far. It was just up a little bit over 3 points. And I'm going to discuss today because there's actually an error in the reading that you're seeing, and we don't hide anything. Today, the AI was actually down, but I think it was down approximately 20 cents after everything was said and done. So it was a very small losing day on pretty active trading. And there was a bad print in SVXY that for some reason made the computer think that we were in at 61.38, but we were really in at around like 59 something, and then exited at the close at 58.28. So again, it was a challenging day today. For the most part of the day, I mean, we were really treading water, and just at the last hour, really, the AI caught the momentum that it needed, and it was challenging, you know. But the beauty is, and we talk about this again in the room, and we talk about this on email. Since this is not a green light, red light, there's so many things that are happening that you learn from. Okay, so one of the important things is what you see. Let's see here real quick. So all of these are closed positions. Okay, I'm gonna move them. Whoops, my mouse. Hold on a second. Okay, so these were the AI trades today, and the biggest loser that we had was on Win, and Win was very, very volatile. It went up 5 points, and the AI thought that it was going to continue, and went long, and then, you know, we had to take the stop loss. And again, our stop losses are adjusted for volatility, and when you have a huge move like this, like a $5 move, you know, in a stock, then it becomes quantitatively or scientifically difficult to trade that with a 20-cent stop. I mean, you're going to be out all the time. So you have to give it more room. As per why we gave it $1, we lost and moved right along. But look at the losers. Okay? Look at how the AI takes care of risk management. This is probably one of the most critical components to learning how to invest successfully. We have taught the AI simply not to lose big while attempting to quantitatively play better odds. And that's what we're, you know, all about. This is your path to being a successful investor. It's twofold. It's not just that we're going to be constantly introducing you to investments that are going to be outperforming the S&P, and that's, by the way, our goal. I mean, here's our BHAG. Okay, and for those of you who don't know what a BHAG is, in business or industry terms, a BHAG is the big, hairy, audacious goal. And our big, hairy, audacious goal is for our artificial intelligence engine to outperform the S&P. That's the simple benchmark that nobody is beating. You know, active managers are not doing this. I mean, there are several handouts that we have today for you guys that are so important. Okay, one talks about the 401k and how that whole system. Again, you're giving your money to somebody to manage it. You have no idea what they're doing, and most people don't know the fees. Now, we're not saying you don't do it, but what we are saying is you must allocate some capital for yourselves to manage. The more that you have control, the more you know what's going on. So your own capital, your own allocation, like, don't treat stocks as some mystery that you don't know about. Okay, that's the thing that we're trying to end here. The stock market and stock investing in general is not a mystery. It's not something that you leave to others to do for you because it's too complicated. Not at all. That's how those people, you know, basically take advantage of you and make money. The second article that we put in there is the AI revolution. That's probably the most important article for you guys to read. This really talks about where we are right now with technology and data and what we're doing. You know, if you guys can think big picture and what has happened from like 1995 in terms of computers to where we are right now, and imagine what's going to happen between right now and 10 years from now, is going to make 1995 to right now seem like you know, 100 years. Technology is moving at exponential rate. And it's very difficult for people to perceive. That's why I urge all of you to, again, and this isn't meant to just, again, for you to buy a Trade Idea subscription. What we're talking about is educate yourself on what's happening right now and where we are and why we are so excited about this opportunity. So, again, let's talk about the quantitative combine, Brad. Maybe you can give people, do you know what I mean by that, Brad? This is a test of terminology.
The quantitative combine with respect to which strategies get selected and populated inside of our AI engine each day?
Let's talk about how did these guys get here? Maybe you can.
All right, well, first of all, we have a bank of, it's roughly right around 30 different strategies right now that are what we call base strategies that our AI optimization engine looks at every single day and decides it adds different filters to it and filter values that optimize that particular strategy. And it looks at a set of out-of-sample data and in-sample data. And ultimately, we're looking at our out-of-sample data to determine which strategies get populated the next day inside of this AI strategies window.
Brad,
so based upon certain metrics.
Brad, you know, I always want to say the reason I like calling it the quantitative combine, and I want to ask everybody, you can answer in the Q&A section. Do you guys, I mean, and again, please forgive me if I sound condescending because I'm not trying to be, because a lot of people don't know it. Do you guys know what a combine is or what I'm referring to? Because again, you know, Brad,
I think you're referring to a sports tryout, you know, where you're trying to make a team.
Right. So do the people in the webinar, do you guys know what a combine is? Okay. So I'll explain it to Dick real quick. So in the NFL, which is the National Football League, yes, exactly like what Carl is saying. Even though scouts and coaches and trainers have been watching guys perform for 4 years, I mean, in theory, they know everything about every single guy that's going to be going into the NFL draft already, because they've been watching them. I mean, some of them have been watched since junior high. Okay? But guess what? Before the draft, they still have to do a combine. So what's a combine? A combine is where they have to run, sprint, catch balls, bench press, jump, do all this stuff to basically say it's like one more time. It's also like if you're into horse racing, it's like going to the paddock, you know, where you see the horses look around and if all of a sudden one of them's acting jittery or whatever, I mean, maybe you say, okay, not this one or maybe this one. So the combine is where scouts are looking at all these guys who are already the best of the best and seeing how can they figure out of the best, who is even better. Okay? So when we say the quantitative combine, at trade ideas every single day. We've got, like what Brad said, we have these 30 strategies that have already been selected. And in fact, some of them have been crowdsourced by some of our best users, who, including Barry, obviously myself, Brad, have come up with these ideas. And there are others from the room and our customer base who have contributed to giving us ideas that we should have as the base strategies. But that's not enough. What we then do is every single night, in fact, it's happening right now as we speak, all these 30 strategies are right now competing, taking today's data, like what happened today, relearning everything that they have learned, and trying to come up with this kind of a statistic. So Brad, why don't we now, since I interrupted you, let's talk about it. So how did these stocks get here? Why did these particular ones make it?
All right, so these two different criteria, the win percentage, it's pretty simple. That's just letting you know the number of winning trades compared to the number of losing trades. So we want to see a certain percentage of winners out of the entire sample set. So that's really the first criteria. The other criteria, and this is all out of sample data, right? So this is not even the originally optimized data set. It's taking a completely new data set at that point. And then the other column, PF, which is profit factor, sum total of all the winning trades over the sum total of all the losing trades. So now we're looking at this particular ratio, and we want to make sure is it 1.8 that it needs to be greater than? So I think it's 1.8. So that, in addition to the win percentage over 59%, those two criteria come together to determine which strategies will make the cut.
Yeah, and now imagine this. Okay, so here's a very interesting scenario. This is for all of you guys to be able to understand how reality works and why you need this technology at the end of the day. So look, here's a strategy, power hour short. It was really the best strategy that we had running today, because today was kind of tricky, at least for the AI it was. Which, by the way, happens, the AI was nothing in the stock market, just for anyone who isn't sure, there is no such thing as the super penny stock trading system and all that stuff. I mean, no offense, but that's just a bunch of bullshit. Stock market is very difficult to have an edge in. Okay, so we are trade ideas. We have the most powerful quantitative system, and look what happens. So 64% success rate, 61% in real life. That's exactly what I would want to see. Okay, but look at this. Selling into strength under 20 in sample data, which again is very detailed, was 62% successful, but only 42 today. That's the beauty of the stock market and the challenge. Every single day in the stock market is different than the day before. Now, is there a relation? Of course, but that relation is tricky. And just because something happened yesterday obviously does not mean that it is going to happen again tomorrow. It just means that there are odds behind it, which is why we use the card counting metaphor. When people count cards in blackjack, it doesn't mean that they necessarily are going to win. It just means that they have an advantage and they have to play to utilize that advantage. So here, for the rest of these strategies, they weren't, well, first of all, float on didn't even fire today, which happens. Some strategies that you have active, nothing comes through because no signals warrant the strategy. And then we had one trade, so neither of them were successful on otherwise 60% successful. And then under this one, only 40%. So even with arguably the best analytics, you still don't always win every time. And that's what we try to, this is the truthiness of the stock market. But what we do say is that this is what we have here. This is the best that you can do. The idea about the AI is that you can follow it as it's happening, but we were also in the chat room and all of us were talking. We were talking about how, sometimes when you see things in the AI that aren't working, it actually becomes an opportunity to go the other way. And that's the thing. We are not religiously confined to seeing the AI. It's like if you see a trader, for example, get into like if a trader next to you, and I'm just using this completely metaphorically, you're sitting next to someone, or maybe you're talking to your friend Bob on the phone or in a chat room. He's like, hey, I just bought this, XYZ. And all of a sudden you pull it up and XYZ starts tanking it. Why not short it? That's what we do. That's how we work in the room. We obviously always we're working towards going in the direction of the AI because the odds are with us. But if the AI is struggling, we're humans. That's our opportunity is that we can adapt to that really quickly and still gain from even the trades that aren't, making money. So, Brad, why don't we do this? Time flew by so fast today. Is it really?
Yeah.
Have I been yapping this long? My goodness. Scott should have said something. Okay, Scott, let's bring you in, and then we'll give a question and answer part of the section.
Cool. Why don't you park it on the price schedule slide? I think it's number 3. And before I get to that, though, I did want to point out, Dan mentioned some handouts that have some great information about one's titled 401k are a sham. The other is the AI Revolution. Those are both available in your download panel from your GoToWebinar interface. So you want to grab those before the end of the session. They're good reading. So trade ideas for those of you who are not currently subscribers, who don't currently have the AI oddsmaker license. We're primarily subscription-based or software as a service company, and our base subscription is our monthly. It's $99 per month. Very easy to get into, no contract at all. All of your exchange fees are included unless you're a professional trader. So unless you're trading other people's money with a Series 7 license, that covers you entirely. You get our charting, which we introduced over the summer, and that's really great, clean charting that links seamlessly with all of our windows. You get your full hour of Hour of Power one-on-one training as soon as you sign up for Trade Ideas. Just go to the support page, locate the training link, click on it, and fill out the form. We'll do our best to get you scheduled as soon as possible, but until you can schedule your training, which sometimes is a few days out, we also offer the QA webinars on Wednesdays, and on Mondays we have an excellent webinar hosted by Jamie Hodge, our Director of Education, and that's called Office Hours, and that's a great learning opportunity for new and existing Trade Ideas subscribers. And also tomorrow on Thursday, you should get an email asking you to register later this afternoon, and it's for Jamie's trading studio, and that again is hosted by Jamie Hodge, Director of Education, and it's he's basically giving a great series of lessons in trading using Trade Ideas technology. So make sure to sign up for those whenever you get the invitations. They are all good stuff, and again, sign up for your training, your one-on-one training as soon as you purchase. We also have an annual plan, and that's just $888. So compared to $99 a month, you can do the math really easily in your head. It saves you a bunch. And it also includes everything, including the training. Backtesting trials are included with the monthly and the annual. That's oddsmaker backtesting. It does not include, there's no trial for the AI. In order to get the AI channel, you do need to purchase the $1,100 one-time license. It's a lifetime license. So whether you come or go with Trade Ideas subscription, you always have it. So like Dan was showing with the AI, you get to find all those trades that are performing in the market right now. You can also get access to unlimited uses of the backtesting module, the oddsmaker. You can use the oddsmaker to optimize your strategies without programming, testing against the entire universe of North American stocks rather than only a basket of stocks or 1 or 2 stocks. It's a much more informative, event-based way of determining the potential success of the strategy. So Dan's going to go ahead and take your questions now, and as a thank you at the very end of the program, I'll pop on to give you today's product code to save money for new subscribers or existing subscribers to pick up the AI, and also a link to a special package that we're still offering that has an amazing deal and lets you save $700 immediately today. So stay tuned for that, and Dan is going to answer your questions. Please direct your questions to the questions panel, and we'll try to get to all of them. Thanks. Dan?
Thank you, Scott. Okay, so we're going to get to the question and answer section. Let me minimize that real quick. And someone, okay, Brad, let's start. Where is the last question that we had?
Well, I know early on Maureen asked how does she avoid information overload with this product, because we do provide so much data.
Yeah, I think It's a great question. I mean, Brad, what do you? I mean,
Well,
I'm
I mean,
curious.
the first thing I would ask yourself is, do you know what you want to look for? If you know what you want to look for, our tool is highly configurable to where you can configure it exactly as you want. If you don't know what you're necessarily looking for, I say go right to our trading room, because it's just such a great resource, not only from a perspective of how to use trade ideas and where the benefit of these type of analytics lie, but trading in general. I mean, it's just a great resource. So that's probably what I would suggest first of all. But everything is configurable, and you can tone the stream down for any one of these windows.
Yeah, I think just a couple of training session, or I mean, one training session with Jamie will help figure that out, how to kind of tone down the feed. But my real answer to that, Brad, is the AI. You know?
Yeah.
Because look here, there was 13, 23. 32 events the whole day. And again, some of them happen at the same time, and you can see like that. Okay, the AI is in like 3 trades, and right now the trades aren't doing anything, for example. So you have to like the stock market is not this thing where you're like, oh, I gotta be in it, and oh, I gotta make it at that cent and this cent. Oh man, I'm not in it. I missed it by 3 cents. That's not how we trade. I mean, or how anyone should trade for that matter. You don't need to be, if your precision is at the 5 or 10 cent level, then you can't make money. That's why we're trying to make 30, 50 points. Look at here. I'm going to bring this up real quick. I mean, look at the volatility that you can see here. I happen to have been incredibly fortunate to have gotten in this stock at $5. Okay, and I think I sold it at 13. The next day. These things occur. So you just kind of have to be open and be okay with, not spending, you don't have to commit all of your resources to one event. What you have to learn, Maureen, is kind of how to trust yourself a little bit. If you see something that you like, then you have to learn to just be able to get in it and handle the risk.
Dan, it reminds me of another thing that occurs all the time on our software, and I think it kind of lends itself to what Maureen was asking, and that's the repetitive nature of some of the symbols throughout the various channels that we have. And when you go to social media and you see something being talked about a lot, and then you go to Surge and you see it's making new highs and it's been doing it quite a bit, and it's got a really big candle for the day. I mean, all this type of repetitive information has to be pulled together in your mind to go, okay, well, this is something that it's telling me I need to hop into. So
I think, Brad, I think one of the reasons that Maureen, and everyone else too, why there are these questions and why these questions cause so many problems is because of the whole notion of research and homework. You've been blasted by books that tell you, okay, time to study up, go look at the SEC statements and look at them, forget all of that. You don't have to, research now is in seconds. And since we're doing a lot of stuff for you and it's already in the title, here we say most interesting. You can say, well, what the hell does that mean? Why are they saying that? But we actually, again, you would learn that in the educational training that you would get when you signed up. But look at the ranges, and this is what we were able to do. What really takes trade ideas to another level is that we specifically watch for behavior that's unusual. You can actually just focus, you can do this. You can close everything else up in trade ideas and see there's a complete flexibility, and now you can have just one screen and you can kind of shift it around. You can say, okay, well, out of these ones that are doing really well, who's the closest to the high for the year? Well, this one probably has the most momentum to continue going forward, followed by, and followed by. But then, of course, then if you like that, then you can quickly say, okay, well, that could be something that I'm going to keep, and you can pin it. And now it just stays, and if I go over here, and I go to another channel like defense, still have my screen.
So Dan, let's pause here real quick, and since this is the QA session, I want to talk a little bit about that most interesting right now window and kind of how it's color coded, because I get so many questions of people asking me, God, what do these colors mean? And I just kind of want to intuitively go through this and talk a little bit about it.
things that we have. So let me expand it out a little bit. By the way, I'm also showing here, everything that we have is very configurable, and you can color code, and you can do so much. But just like with Microsoft Word, you don't need, or Excel, you don't need to know calculus to start, and that's the whole point. This should be your foundation for research going forward in the stock market. But Brad, go ahead.
Okay, so go ahead and sort this here on the position in your range. Closest to the highest on top. There you go. And the way this window is colored, I can tell, one, because I think I did it, but it's colored based upon the change for the day. That's the overall root color of this window. And basically, the higher the stock is from yesterday's close to right now, the darker green it's going to be. And it's going to give you a full gradient of colors all the way to zero. And I don't think this window has any stocks that are down for the day, but that's probably because some filters that we have in there. But go ahead and sort this on change from the close.
Okay.
Now you can get an idea of the gradient. And so this is the gradient that takes place as it does the span of change from the lowest to the highest. So you can really easily pull data points out. You can see in that relative volume column, that's a special gradient just based upon relative volume, but that one that has 5 just stands out, and it's essentially colored to be the higher the relative volume, the darker blue it's going to be. So we use this color as an aid for you to spot interesting events in a window that may have a lot of data in it, but you can see there are only 2 stocks in that view right there that are trading at least 2 times the full range for the day. So it's STRL and ONE, and we did that based on the coloring of that far right column, those yellow data points. That's telling me that anything that's over 200, 2 times a normal daily range. So just using color to our advantage here so that even before you pull it up on a chart, you're going to have an idea as to what's happening.
Yeah, and it goes back to what Brad and I actually learned when we were active investors and much younger, is that the real path to success is the ability to look, sense, and go, one way or the other. The idea is that don't spend too much time. Like, your subconscious kind of will let you know if it's okay for you to do it. And at some point you might have to train yourself, of course, to say, okay, the AI for a long time and get comfortable, but and the AI will teach you how to do things a lot better than if you did it by yourself. But as Brad is saying, the idea here is there's a lot of paralysis by analysis in the stock market. And with trade ideas, we try to eliminate that by having it done for you already. Everything's kind of aligned in a way that you can quickly just, you don't have to write a formula to see which stock is trading, at 3 times its range. It's right here. And look at this move. And these are the kind of moves that actually we are discussing in our Trade of the Week webinar. This is the kind of moves that we are looking to find for our customers. Right here. This is what makes everybody really feel good. Getting into something like this at like 1750 and then being in it at 1925 still.
Yeah, making the decision, am I going to swing this or am I going to get out?
That's right. Thank you, Brad. This is exactly what decides, if you're going to day trade or if you're going to invest just today or if you're going to continue and hold it. And you can decide that, again, that depends on your account, on so many things that are completely, relative to you. Okay,
all right,
so it's
Dan.
Peter.
Peter has a great question. I want to go through it because gap, I hadn't really heard of that, but he wants to find gaps above the open of the entire candle from the previous day. Okay, the open above it. So,
all right, so this is a good example of the power and configuration of trade ideas. So here we have our gap up scan, okay? And I'm going to right-click in any window in trade ideas. You can do this. So you can right-click and configure, okay? And you can, first of all, in the summary, you can see what's going on. So this window is stocks with a price of at least $1, where stocks daily volume is at least 100,000 shares, and at least 2,000 shares today so far, and it's sorted by the biggest gap up. But if we want to do the blood gap, so to speak, I can search for something called open. So here.
Nope, that's not the one.
Sorry, which one?
Okay. And you could do that, but that's not what he's asking. And he wants to make sure that it's above really the high of the previous day. And so
Okay. Huh?
position in previous day's range.
Position in previous day's range. So in fact, but we can show you how you can do both. You can layer filters. So this is super easy. Add filters. So position in previous day's range. So this is our whole system of how we do things, where you can say, so what's the position in previous day's range? Well, every range has a position of 0 at the low and 100 at the high. So if you have a minimum position of 100, you are automatically above yesterday's high. So I'm going to hit up gappers bloody and hit OK. And here you go. So let's take a look. So notice again, instantly quick, and here you have them. This is what they look like, and it's that easy to do. And now let's say I want to mirror this one. So I'm going to go to Configure, go to Search, and go to Position in Previous Day's Range, hit Add Filter, and I'm going to say the maximum is 0. Right, Brad?
That's one way to do it.
You wouldn't do it that way?
Well, no, I'd show them how to use the flip feature, because they may not have the benefit of that window. I don't. Is it a blood gap if it's down?
I don't know. Oh, bloody down. So here's the blood down, and again, pardon our, The interesting thing that Brad is telling you is that in trade ideas, there's more than one way to do it, and that's how the stock market is too. You can do a lot of things more than one way. So here is again. I really like that Peter gave us that example, because you just quickly can show someone the real power that's here. And then the best part is you can take something like this, and then you can add it to AI. You can create your own strategy. I mean, there's almost unlimited things that you can do. So,
all right, hey Dan, let's pull up the, go back to the AI channel, and you're going to want to bring in a column that I don't think is in there by default. It's one of the historical columns, recent performance.
Which window?
The top, the AI strategies window.
Okay. So,
yeah, so yeah, that one. So bring in recent performance. Go to columns.
Oh, sorry. Mental breakdown.
Happens to me all the time.
I've been doing this too long, Brad.
All right, so this is a visual historical representation of really the odds maker and how each day. I think the question was, what does each one of those graphical blips represent? And it represents each day. So if you were looking at an odds maker and you were looking at a calendar heat map, we've really taken that calendar heat map and we've just basically laid it out in a horizontal fashion.
Yeah. So this is kind of like what the equity curve and everything else, that's what it looks like.
And the most recent is on the right. So if you're looking at this and trying to interpret it, the most recent days are the far right days.
Mm-hmm. And it makes me feel like I should have a chat with Dave May. But again, the idea, guys, is that with what we're doing here, and the reason that we're all here at this webinar is we are simply looking to take stock market analysis to the next level, and our goal is to bring into the retail space technology that's not available really right now to institutions. And this is a fact. It's not. Hedge funds don't have this. I promise you. Do you know how I know? Because they don't have trade ideas, a lot of them. I mean, not the big ones anyways, because they think they know everything already. Our whole thing is that, okay, so our whole thing is that to replicate what we do, you really have to have that database that we have, and that's really our advantage, is that we sort everything. And about the AI, and why I think it's so compelling as the thing that you should be using is because, again, we are constantly working to improve it every day. It's the same thing as strategy. You don't just leave it, and hope that it that everything's okay. That's why when people say, well, show me how you've done over 10 years, that's when you want to smack somebody. There's no one strategy that succeeds for 10 years. A strategy is just something you do, and what you do constantly changes. So let's remind everybody of that. What you do has to constantly change because the market is dynamic. If you were trading the AI while the whole market was getting annihilated, you would have been shorting it. You would have been playing the downside because the AI only goes into the path of least resistance. That's it. So, okay, Peter, where do you rate order flow? Is this something that TI does? Well, of course we get order flow because we're seeing every single print. But order flow really doesn't do anything in terms of stocks. We used to, in fact, get a feed from NASDAQ called Velocity and Forces, which kind of showed us orders that were coming in before they were executed, and we paid NASDAQ some good money for that. And but after rigorous testing and years of wasting money, we realized there was absolutely no statistical significance to it. And that's why, I actually had a discussion with people about this in the chat room. I don't use level 2, and if you have level 2 and you're paying for it, I think personally, I just think that that's a little bit of a waste of money because nobody really shows their true intentions on level 2 anymore. And if you're trading for 5 cents, that's not how to make money. I mean, we're here to make statistical, speculative bets, and we use quantitative data to do that for the best. So, Suku, there's training on all sorts of stuff. If you subscribe, so first of all, the life cycle, if you subscribe to Trade Ideas, you get a one-on-one session with our Director of Education or someone else on our team. And we really take you through that first initial process that gets you set up, where you're comfortable seeing what you're seeing, and then afterwards, you obviously have, again, the support of the chat room, the AI, which is feeding you trades every single day, and the whole technology that allows you to make your own strategies, test them, and basically be as effective as you can be in the market. Does it mean you're going to win every time? No. But is it the best that you can do with today's technology? You bet your butt it is. All right, guys. I think that's it for me for the Q&A. Scott, are you ready to rock and roll?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. I think slide number 4 has the subscription specials. Also, in the same portion that you all found the downloads that Dan put in there, the great information about the 401ks and AI revolution. There's also another one that's titled Trade Ideas Subscription Specials, and it has these slides that you're going to see right now. So you can use that code. It's all capitals, QAWEB for QA Web, number 2. So QA Web 2, putting that in on checkout will take half off your first month. It'll renew at $99, but you can try us out at just $49. It'll take 24% off your entire first year, 30% off the lifetime oddsmaker license. So if you currently are a subscriber and want to pick up the oddsmaker, you can get it for just $770 lifetime instead of $1,100. This code is good until end of business on Friday, so please use before then if you intend to get on board with any of these discounts. But the next slide is really the exciting one. And this is only this offer that we're going to show now is only going to exist until we actually release the AI in a non-beta version. And it may go away before that, but it'll be here for at least this month. This is the best opportunity to get into Trade Ideas and save a lot. You can save $700 immediately. So all you need to do is go to that link on your PDF or type it into your browser exactly as you see it on screen. It's bit.ly/capital SAVE 700 because it saves you $700 immediately. The full year of Trade Ideas is normally $888. Lifetime odds maker is normally $1,100. You get all of that for just $1,288. So you get your whole first year and the lifetime odds maker. So you always have the AI for just $1,288. Big savings right there. You're basically getting buying the odds maker and getting a year for free, essentially, if that's one way to look at it. And then you renew at $888, and you're locked into the $888 rate for a lifetime, as long as it's active, whether or not we raise it in the future. It's not unheard of. We did raise it to $888 from $628 over the summertime. So,
I mean, this is still like giving it away for free in essence, and that's what we're trying to say here for people that are coming to the webinar.
Exactly. It's a thank you. for coming to the webinar. It gives our attendees and our fans a way to save a bunch and also get in on the beta early. The AI is amazing, but it's still in our beta software. It's not even in our official release. So that's why we're able to offer it as this kind of a discount once we once we make the adjustments moving it into production, we'll eliminate this package. But get into that as soon as you can, guys. It's fantastic. And then sign up for the Jamie's trading studio tomorrow. I'm actually just going to go ahead and I had the link up before, but
will you also put in the link for the Trade of the Week webinar? There's a lot of people who are asking about that, and I know that by the way, you have to be on that list. There's an email list.
Yeah.
The Trade of the Week, but
what I'll do is I'll put the link. I'll put the link in anyways. Okay, the first link I'm putting in the chat right now is for the Trade of the Week webinar. But keep in mind, this is not signing you up to get invitations to it. You need to sign up for the Trade of the Week newsletter to get the invitations for Trade of the Week webinar. So keep that in mind. When you get a chance to, go to the website and see that pop-up asking you to sign up for Trade of the Week, sign up for it, and then you get all the invitations to the webinars. Jamie's Trading Studio is going to be tomorrow. You're going to get an email about that this evening, but I will go ahead and grab that link for you now. I had it open in my browser a moment ago, but let me get it again. And that's on using our Omnovia platform, so you may need to sign up there to register, but it's the same platform that Barry uses for our trading room. And the reason Jamie uses that for the trading studio is so that you can really look over his shoulder as he works, and he can monitor the chat as well. The office hours webinar, he's not able to monitor the questions panel and the chat as frequently during the session, just because of the way GoToWebinar is structured. But you have those two links, so we're looking forward to seeing you guys there. Thanks for the awesome demonstration, Dan. Hopefully,
My pleasure. My pleasure. And again, thank you everybody for coming. This offer that Scott just showed, I mean, it's again, while it may seem like a lot of money to a lot of people, consider that you're possibly having something that can make you money, and it's basically free in essence, compared to a lawyer education or a medical degree. That's the things that you would compare it to. So we look forward to seeing you at our webinar tonight. If you have it, we're going to be talking about the kind of patterns that we put into some of the AI strategies, and we're going to talk about AFMD, this Trade of the Week, and a lot of other things. So looking forward to seeing everybody there. Thank you, and goodbye.
Yep, thanks everyone. Bye.